All right. Welcome to another episode of TalentED. This is where we dive into the minds and hearts of incredible educators and leaders in the education sector. I am your host, Dr. Eric Skanson, and today we are thrilled to have a very special guest, Charlene Carlberg-Stewart. Charlene is a trailblazer in educational practice with a passion for closing achievement gaps in literacy, a strong advocate for equity and inclusive school cultures. Charlene, it is an honor to have you on with us today. Why don't you give us your own introduction? Tell us where you're talking to us from today.
Thank you. Well, I'm joining you live from Tampa, Florida. And my journey in education really began as a young girl. And I was a child that lived in situational poverty and was not an avid reader, didn't know how to read right away. And so I came with a spirit of helping the underdog. And
Nice.
that's why closing those achievement gaps is so very important to me, because if I was one of those people, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, we we talk about educators, like those are the stories that speak to us, because it's like that made a difference. There's somebody that made a difference for Charlene. Um, let's talk a little bit more about this. So, Charlene, can you tell us about that journey in education and what drove you to focusing on closing these gaps and specifically even literacy?
Yes, absolutely. So again, like I said, I wasn't a reader, and I was one of the kids that teachers marked, to go into the special group, and we all knew what that meant. And then I got to sit down and listen to our librarian read Clifford the Big Red Dog, and I fell in love. And in that moment, I knew I needed to know what happened to Clifford, where was he gonna go, and could
Hmm.
I even ever have a Clifford the Big Red Dog myself? And so that's when I learned the power of myself and to grow my own skill set by powerful practice, right? I didn't know that at the time, but I would immerse myself in trying to read books, even though I couldn't read a lot of the words before me. I'm sure some teachers along the way were there to support me. And it was then that I just slowly built my confidence. And then in middle school, a teacher came to me and was like, Shar needs to be in honors classes. She's ready. And I cried because I liked being silent and quiet in the corner and just kind of getting by. And it was that teacher that really changed my life and my trajectory. So as I began my journey as an educator, I really looked to where could I give support to children who might not be getting the support that they needed. And that's where I began as a special educator. So helping those kids that got these labels, and some are they needed? I don't know. Could, if I taught you differently, could you outgrow some of these things developmentally? Would you be ready for something new? And so that's where I really started to apply Vygotsky's theories of meeting children right where they are and their
Hmm.
point of need. And it was from there that I just grew. Literacy became so powerful to me. I saw the advantages it gave myself and the advantages it was giving my students. And so I just kept kind of spearheading that and started to coach my other teachers around strategies for all content areas for literacy. And then it ended with, but I continued on with getting my doctorate in curriculum and teaching, so that I could see, like, why do we have this pervasive achievement gap, and what can we do as educators to change it? And I believe we can. There's research out there that we can get all children to read,
Hmm.
and I want to be a part of that work. So.
Well, and I would imagine part of that work would be coaching school leaders and fostering those environments where every student thrives. Is
Absolutely.
that something that you can talk about or talk to?
Yes, absolutely. That is speaks to my heart and is the passion behind the work that I do. So I believe that there are transformative moments in all of our lives, and transformation really means a marked change in someone. And so I really believe in the power of transformative leadership and the transformative beliefs of a teacher. So anyone that I coach, we have a mantra, right? So it's all my students can learn. Some
Mhm.
of them learn differently. Some of them might need a scaffold, something else, but everyone can. We're all going to say, yes, they can. And
Mhm.
I can, as the teacher, make it happen, right? All of my students will learn, right? And if I'm looking at myself as a leader, I will make this happen. I have a goal. I know I'm going to do it. And finally, I control it. So I get to decide.
Mhm.
As the teacher, I get to decide the culture, the climate, that my students are academically, socially, and emotionally safe. And as a school leader, I have to make sure all those things are there for my teachers as well, so that everybody shines. And when you begin with those beliefs, I can, I will, and I own it, you can change the world and yourself and your school. So that's where it all has to begin.
I love the fact that you're focusing on efficacy, right? Because if you don't feel like you can make a difference, if you don't come in with that mindset, it's like a no-go. Like
Mhm.
if you're defeated before you even begin the hard work, it's a no-go. So I love that you focus on that and those mantras.
Mhm.
Um, do you have any other successful strategies that you've implemented in creating inclusive school cultures?
Yes, absolutely. So the mindset's the main thing. And I really live my life and all of my work around the core theory of success. So the core theory of success reminds us that it begins with quality relationships, right? But in order to know if my relationship is quality, I've got to decide, what do I actually want to happen? What's the desired effect for me in the end? So, as a leader, what's the ultimate goal for my school, in the work of my school? For a teacher, what do I really hope to see happen for all of my students, some of my students, or a few of my students? And then I can say, okay, well, let me examine the quality of the relationship that I currently have with this group, with this idea, with this knowledge. And so that begins with an awareness. And so lots of leaders lean into, okay, so if the quality relationship is what matters most, do I have consensus from my people, right? Do they
Mhm.
believe in what I believe in? Are we all on the same page? Do we all have this like united front? And if we don't, we really have to begin there. And then once we have this quality relationship where there's trust and we're all moving in the right direction and the direction that we all agree to move into, now we can start transitioning into the quality of our thinking. So we can talk in a space where we kind of hit that sweet spot. So I'm not fighting to win and I'm not being silent just to get by in this conversation, but we are encouraging and supporting each other and thinking about what are we going to do next to get to this desired effect at the end. Once this quality thinking happens, what transitions out of that is these wonderful quality actions. So now we're like, okay, this is what we want to do. This is how we think we're going to get it done. And now let's make it happen. And we
Mhm.
start to do these quality actions so that we can start to examine, okay, we did all this. We thought if we did this, then this would happen. And what actually happened? Did we meet our goal? Great, give everybody a high five. And if we didn't, let's sort of circle back to say, was there something in our actions that we need to shift or change or modify? Or was our thinking a little off? Did we not, think of unintended consequences of what we did? Or maybe we need more knowledge, or maybe we need to build more consensus as a team so that we can kind of move back through the circle. And so I constantly have that circle in my mind as
Mhm.
I'm working and supporting leaders of schools.
Oh, and it sounds like you've focused a lot on like improvement science and
Mhm.
decision making for the leaders and the teachers. Can you expand on how you do that?
Yeah, so improvement science is so fascinating to me because it can be applied in any industry and also in your personal life. But improvement science for educators is really important because it reminds us that every system is perfectly designed to get the results it gets. So if we
Mhm.
say, here's our system, complex and convoluted as it is, here's the results that we have. Now let's say, well, where's the gap in what we really want to happen? So it's within that gap that you start to do those improvement science principles, which is, first let's talk about the psychology behind it. What's the human factor? And now, what change do we really want to make how do we think we're going to make it happen? And now let's sort of check in to see, are we getting closer and closer to our goals?
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that iterative cycle of change in mind, and as you do it, you start to really learn and grow. And the best thing is sometimes we're wrong. And when we're wrong, we learn so much more.
That's true.
So we have to have that vulnerability as leaders to go, wow, we thought that was going to help, but look at what it did. So now what are we going to do next? The whole goal is to build scalability so that you get to a space where we did this and it worked. It helped all of our students. Now let's make this happen everywhere,
Mm.
right? So starting small to go big is really where leaders need to begin, so that you don't just go like, everyone's going to do this. And then you go, wow, that didn't work. So start small to go big. So I always tell my people, go slow to go fast, and
Mm-hmm.
trust the process.
Charlene, what does that look like if somebody wants to work with you or for you to come into their school? Give us just a sneak peek at like what does that process look like?
Yeah, so whenever a school leader or district would like me to come work with them, it begins with a needs assessment. So we start to dive into what are the areas of focus that you have right now, and how can I help support those areas, or do we need to start to investigate what area of focus would be best for us? There's a lot of research out there that tells us that when principals or districts look to 3 different areas of focus, that they can have the greatest improvement.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of tap into what's happening with literacy across your school, what's happening with instructional practice, and how are your teachers using and understanding the curriculum. And so when you pick one of those big buckets, then you can start to drill down to say, okay, well, here's what we really
Sure.
want to focus on. And now let's go see what's actually happening to see where we want to dive deeper. And then we would build a plan of support that would include like whole group work or knowledge building, side-by-side coaching. And always we're doing cycles of success to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we're making change that leads to the results that they want.
Well, if you're going to work with Charlene, here's what I'm going to tell you. You're going to get just a beautiful human, right? Just a good human, but also somebody who really knows their stuff, really knows their content, really knows how to move schools. And she has a complete endorsement from myself and from School Pro moving forward. Uh, let's talk about some fun things. I have some super cliche questions for you, but they're kind of fun. So, Charlene, I want you to think about the dinner question. If you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would you choose? Who's coming to dinner, Charlene?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's Maya Angelou. I mean, poet, teacher, she has it all. And the words of wisdom that she gave to the world, it stays with me forever. Our children will always remember how
Hmm.
they felt with us and not what we said. And when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Um,
Right.
yeah, just to have her share her journey and share with me the power behind the prose of her words, and the power behind really helping others the way that she did, and what would she tell me to do differently? I would love to know.
Right. Well, that would be a fascinating dinner. Fascinating dinner. Okay, how about this one? You have a bunch of books behind you. Do you have like a favorite? Like, what's your favorite book?
Oh my gosh.
I know it's so hard to pick one. I know.
It's so hard, and I'm a total informational reading geek. So give me The Learning Brain, give me Scaling Up with Excellence.
Yeah.
I love those types of books.
Let's narrow it. What's your favorite children's book?
Oh my gosh, my favorite children's story. Short and succinct, but Goodnight Moon got my 3 babies to sleep every night. So
Yeah, awesome. Okay, here's the last one for you. What do you want us to know about you that we would not always maybe assume? Like, is there a hobby or an activity or like what drives you?
yeah, so what drives me is bringing joy and happiness to people. And I am a poet by, I guess, more passion than purpose. But I really use poetry as a way to express what's kind of going on inside of me. and how I get through some tough times, that aren't so easy. The smile on my face is because I love living, I love people, I love change, and I just want to make a difference, like all of us in the world, that someone can go, I remember Dr. Shar.
Yeah.
She made me feel really good. And so, that's kind of like a little bit about me. Yeah, I'm just a lover of people and animals too, really. My favorite place to
Wonderful.
go is the zoo.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, let's keep it going here. A final call to action. Like Charlene, if you had to give any, like, you got to do this, people. What's your platform? What's your talk?
Yeah, so I think what we have to do is ensure that all children are equipped with the necessary skills to read, write, discuss, problem solve, to get by in this world, in whatever they want to do. And the only way we're going to do that is if we unite as leaders in education to support our teachers.
Mhm.
And when I look into a leader's eyes, I see the eyes of all of the staff that they are supporting. When I look into teachers' eyes, I see all the children. And it's in those moments that I know that we have to begin with, how can we help you? Where are you right now? And are you ready for a path forward? So anyone who works with me knows I'm really big on Maslow's hierarchy. And so I always begin with engaging people to find out where they are. Because if I'm in survival mode, if I haven't slept and I'm hungry and I'm tired and I'm mad, I'm nowhere near like building belongingness and wanting to listen to you tell me what I need to think about differently in my school. So I think that as leaders approach their teachers, and as teachers approach their students, I think there's two things I would ask you to always consider. What is my teacher or student's will, and what is their skill? And which area could I give them the most support? So if it's desire and understanding, I'm going to address that before I can get to here's the knowledge and here's how we're going to apply it so that you can be better.
Great. Well, Charlene, I gotta tell you, it's a pleasure to talk with you, and I know that you are passionate about education, and I would love to be able to bring that into more schools, more work with more leaders, and certainly we're here to help connect you to Charlene if you so choose. But with that, we're gonna wrap it up here, Charlene, and I'm gonna tell everybody that that's all for today's episode because we're not gonna give away everything
Right.
about Charlene, right? So I want to thank our incredible guest, Charlene Carlberg-Stewart, for your insightful, inspiring contributions. Your dedication to literacy, leadership, inclusive education is really, really making a difference. And remember, if you or someone you know is making an impact in the world of connection, connect with us. We'd love to give you a feature here on the show. But also, if you want to work with Charlene in your schools, give us a call, connect with us, and we'll be happy to help you with that. So this is Dr. Eric Skanson reminding you, stay PKS, which is positive, kind, supportive. And until next time, be well, everybody. Goodbye.